Yes, Sir Hairless here. Today we are back with Forestella and we have one of their original songs called Snow Globe. It was composed by their countertenor Kang Hyung-ho. If you've seen my previous Forestella videos, you'll know that I rate Kang Hyung-ho so incredibly highly. So it'll be interesting to hear a composition of his. If you haven't seen my Forestella videos, the playlist is up here. You can check them all out there. Here are the lyrics on the screen. They did come up in English, so I'm assuming this song is in English. As we know, they sing in multiple languages and we can never be sure. My last reaction, Hijo de la Luna, is a Spanish song that they covered, but they sung in Korean. We will be watching the music video, which is just over a year old, from November 2023.
Frozen in forever winter, floating on silvery storms, dazzling stars softly embracing all that I've ever known. The loneliness settling deeper, so silently under my feet. Longing is there, and my reflection, hoping for something more. The cold reality splinters, a faint melodious sound. Sweet temptation is calling me, take a leap of faith over down.
Wow, how many kind of changes are there going to be in this? Probably quite a lot. There are so many things going on in my head right now. I think we're going to do our first pause here, go over what we've heard so far. If you don't want to hear my thoughts or analysis, go to the timestamp. But wow, it started with this really quite innocent piano and so many harmonic changes that were just unexpected. Thematic changes. The video as well is so cool. I certainly was not expecting to not see any of Forestella singing. Maybe they'll come later in this video, maybe not. It's almost like a little film. Well, let's take it back to the beginning. So we have the piano introduction. I have a few things to point out about this, so cue Sir Hairless from the future on the piano to go through them. So we have opposing ideas rhythmically and melodically. We get this single line in the right-hand melody and chords in the left hand. And then they come together at the end of this phrase before finishing on this chord. We also get this descending bass line, which is quite foreboding, and it's a complete contrast to all these little grace notes we get. And these rapid runs as well. They're very fun. They're quite tinkly is the word I think of. Quite Christmassy. The Sugar Plum Fairy comes to mind. Another good example is later on at the end of the first verse.
All that I've ever known.
So we have chromaticism too, contrary motion, the bass line moving down, the melody moving up, but the bass moves down and then jumps back up in a very disjointed staccato motion, which is the opposite, naturally, of Kang Hyung-ho's very legato, smooth singing of the melody, and some more trills and grace notes. It's very, very playful, and yeah, completely enhanced by the video as well.
All that I've ever known.
I do love the video. As I was listening to the music, the concept or the notion of dancing did come to my mind. And no doubt, I'm sure I'm not the only one for whom the image of a dancer is conjured up by this music. It's why they have a ballerina in the video, probably. And the music, it's fairly peculiar, quite sprightly and mischievous, almost. These modulations that we hear really enhance this feeling, this atmosphere. They're completely unexpected and they make us almost helpless because we don't know what to expect. In other words, we kind of need to focus. We need to be aware in case more unexpected things happen. We don't want to miss anything. It doesn't quite put us on edge. And you may disagree with me on this, but to me, this is not a cozy Christmas song. It's a bit more lively or magical in a fairy tale kind of way. If we look at the lyrics, at first glance, they seem quite cute and Christmassy, but if we really focus on them,
Frozen in forever winter.
the alliteration on the f sound, frozen, not really a nice word, is it? Ice is slippery, it's dangerous, it's cold. Forever winter, permanent cold and darkness. It's usually dark in wintertime.
Floating on silvery storms.
Floating on silvery, that's nice, kind of mystical, but storms? It's an aggressive word. Children are scared of storms. Storms bring with them destruction.
Dazzling stars softly embracing.
Dazzling stars softly embracing. Something dazzling is bright. You don't want to go near it, but softly embracing. So the lyrics on a granular line-by-line level are juxtapositions. And to me, that definitely enhances the strangeness of the music. But I do find the music playful, quite jaunty, with some possible dark undertones. That's how I kind of see it right now. Also worth noting that the melody he's singing is doubled down by the instrumentation.
Dazzling stars softly embracing.
It's a nice way to add strength and conviction to the melody whilst also contributing to this light, sprightly manner of the music. The instrument we're hearing, I'm not sure exactly what it is. In my head, it's like one of those small toy pianos, Celeste Glockenspiel type thing. For the second verse, we now get several more vocal lines entering. The more obvious line is this descending choral line, like a choir, a bit higher up.
Loneliness settling deeper.
And the melody is in octaves now with the bass lower down. We can assume that is Forestella's bass ko wu rim. So the melody, the focus is now sandwiched between vocals on either side of it. To be honest, I'm not sure how this makes me feel. Does it give me more confidence in the melody, like you'd think this should? I'm not too sure. I think the jauntiness in the accompanying piano part keeps me from getting too comfortable.
The cold reality splinters a faint melodious sound.
Now, Bae-do Hoon gets the melody. He is Forestella's baritone, or Barry tenor, as I call him, a baritone's timbre, but with the range of a tenor. And with his takeover of the melody, the music now, it becomes major. Things seem a bit happier. And the waltz feel, wham bum 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 bum. It's much more apparent. Again, I don't think this is a coincidence that the video that we see for this is this masquerade ballroom dance scene. You know, very, very possibly they are dancing a waltz.
Sweet temptation is calling me.
And the additional voices we hear now have much more of a contrasting effect. The choir up there, it's so typical of Christmas films. Do you know what I mean by that? Music in Christmas films, very cozy, relaxing. But then the bass voices, disjointed, they're not singing every word, really quite the opposite of cozy. And that's where we got to. So let's carry on. It's really interesting so far, definitely unexpected, and I think a really clever song from the, I don't know, quarter or so that I've heard of it so far. And once more, just a quick shout out to the video. I really like it. I think it's great.
The cold reality splinters
There's so much going on. Really cool song. Really cool song, and just quite peculiar. A lot of things about it I find equally interesting, cool, and weird, strange, unexpected. This bit, for example, there's no subtitles, it's not in the lyrics. What are they saying? I don't know. If you know, please let me know down below. So from where we carried on, it's a really strange harmonic progression. It seems quite natural, I think we can agree, but it also sounds unnatural, and I think we can also agree. So let's take a look at what we're seeing. Here is our good friend, the circle of fifths. Don't worry too much about it, but in short, if you move around it consecutively, like a C chord to an F chord to a B flat to an E flat, etc., then it will sound very natural and quite nice. And the outside circle is major, happy. The inside circle are the minor, the sadder sounding chords. What we get is here to here, but then we jump back to here and then move to here. Then we move from the major version of this chord to the minor version of this chord, which is this one here. C sharp and D flat are the same note. And then we move to here, then we jump to here, and then we jump back over to here. So it kind of moves in twos. Then here it changes to the minor version of the same chord, and then it tries moving around, but it is jumping around a little bit. It's also worth noting that the first half of that progression, all of the chords are major, and in the second half they're all minor except for the last one, which is when the major cycle repeats. Usually it is natural to have a mixture of major and minor. That's just how scales and harmony work. So to do this major, 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 minor, 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 it's extremely intentional. You know, it's a very forced thing to do, and that's why it sounds a little bit strange. This particular progression, though, it's enabled by the descending bass line chromatically. What else do we get? Well, we get these kind of swooning backing vocals up high. A subtle doubling of the melody in the bass part, crazy instrumental parts moving around everywhere, it seems. I was thinking there's such a crazy mix of music in here. We have a lot of musical characteristics and traits I associate with happiness and joy and liveliness, and then other parts of the music that I would typically associate with anger and sadness. And then what happens? We get this. Don't look down if you fall. How foreboding. We have the exposed bass vocal part, and in cartoon films, for example, the villains are usually basses. We have chromatics in the strings, these chromatic inflections, and the beat now comes in very prominently. It's all just a little bit peculiar. There's something about Forestella, and I really noticed this with their cover of My Favorite Things. Please check out my video on that, card up here. I talk about it in detail there. But they almost don't seem quite real to me. They seem like dolls or figurines who come out to perform, like a Jack in a Box or a music box or something. Okay, anyway, so now things become a bit more fragmented. Obviously, the visuals with the shattered, the broken glass. The harmonic progression isn't stable. Not that it has been stable so far, it's been really interesting. But rhythmically too, the time signature is still in 3/4, well, more 6/8 compound time. The point is, it's this waltz feel. 1, 2, 3, jump, bum, bum. The stresses are really obvious. Now, they're not so obvious. Other beats are being stressed. Sometimes the second beat, sometimes the third beat. This completely disrupts the feel of the waltz. It's now inconsistent. Very fitting, because this is where the snow globe rolls away and smashes. The ballerina comes out, and there's a lot that I really like about this. The singing style, firstly, in the melody, all the slides, the glissandos, it's quite comical. It's quite unserious. We have a bass part, as in an actual bass guitar, coming in. For the unknown becomes known, what has been shown cannot then be unshown. The strings sliding up and down octaves. which is actually another example of rhythmic disruption because the music 1 2 3 1 2 3, but they are 1 2 1 2 1 2. The idea of 3 versus 2, and overall it's just much more of a modern feel to the music. It progresses as such, and then it's kind of just all round broken out, if you'll pardon the pun, into this really quite dramatic and really quite elegant scene. A ballerina soaring through the air. There's a musical emphasis on the harmony now. Symphonious sound is the lyrics, but also a dark symphonious sound. And quite fittingly, it then kind of turns dark again, and that's where we pause. This bit visually reminds me of Save Our Lives. This walkway surrounded by space, stars, very similar. Except the music here is massive. In Save Our Lives at this point, it's reduced, it's calm. By the way, please check out my reaction to Save Our Lives. Card up here.
The starry night out of my window, darkness covers with no end inside. To go back in time, dancing my solo, always hoping to find the moonshine.
There comes this rich bass voice. Powerful, huh? Yeah, I just want to go back over some of this last section. Again, so much has happened. It's just constantly changing, evolving or devolving, however you want to look at it. But there's definitely a style that Forestella have. These stark contrasts between light and dark, day and night. To go a bit deeper, I guess you have cold and warm, sane, insane even. Save Our Lives, White Knight, Utopia. Definite similarities between them all. From where we carried on, I think that's the baritone, or the bari tenor, as I call him. This is a prime example of why I call him that. He goes up to a B. That's just one note below what I call the wow operatic tenor moment. Before he then hands over the melody to Kang Hyung-ho, the composer, which is a reverse of what we saw at the start. Here, the lyrics fall from grace. Things are just darker in general.
Don't look down if you fall.
In the video, we've gone from this bright scenery beforehand, and it's visibly getting darker. But we also have this falling music, very intense choir sounds. And in the video, the beauty, the color of everything is literally being stripped. It's really a foreboding choir sound, isn't it? The electric guitar starting to come through, and then later on we get some full-on shredding. It's a sign of the modern times compared to the waltz from earlier, the classical style ballet of the opening. And the composer, I'm told, comes from a rock background. So this does make sense. It reminds me of their song Utopia. That was my highest rated Forestella song that I've reacted to, actually. So if you haven't seen my reaction, please do check that one out. It blew my mind. Literally, it took me days to recover from it. I became obsessed. I listened to it for days on repeat, consistently. It definitely made me go a bit mad. Anyway, so we get this reduced section. It's slowing down, some nice tempo rubato. The falling single snowflake, just as the video opened with. And all the madness that we've just been hearing, the big, big sound, it makes this next bit much more impactful with its reduced sound.
The starry night out of my window.
I really like this part of the video. Harmonically, it's much more straightforward, kind of like the opening. But then, shortly afterwards, the harmony again becomes a bit more non-straightforward.
Go back in time, dancing my solo.
A bit more non-standard, and the harmony, the choices they're making here through those two voices in harmony, they're essentially painting a happy facade over the actual musical substance, which seems to be quite gloomy, quite grey. Yeah, there are a lot of cool things here. Let's carry on until the end. Oh, I'll get back to this ending in a moment. It leaves me wanting more, and I'll explain why. But first, from where we carried on, I'm not sure what they're saying. Well, these songs of theirs, the original compositions, but a couple of arrangements of cover songs I've seen, they're just so detailed from every aspect. I always wonder why Forestella are not more popular in terms of Spotify listens, for example. I think it's because of how complex their songs are. There's just so much going on that it's probably too much for a lot of people who might just want some simple music, and that's not a bad thing. I sometimes, well, a lot of the time actually, like when I work, I just have calm, simple music on. And like I said earlier, listening to Utopia for days on end made me mad. I'm just so impressed by the detail and the complexity of their music. And because of that, I do understand why it might not be for everyone. If you're watching this though, you probably think extremely highly of Forestella, just like I do. Let me know in the comments what you would rate them out of 10. Just a few points before we wrap up. That last section was huge, wasn't it? Everything was being re-injected, revitalized with color. There was suddenly a huge sound, and we had Kang Hyung-ho soaring into that natural falsetto of his. Such a natural sounding falsetto, like a male soprano. Whenever he sings that high, I always mention it, how clean and pure of a tone I think it is. And then to end, we get this tierce de Picardy, ending a minor piece of music in the major, a shift at the end. Technically, though, it's not true because we continue. The baritone keeps singing. And then the ending is a slight variation on the piano we had in the introduction. And come on, that unresolved chord, it kills me. I want to know if they will finish with a tierce de Picardy, with a major chord, or minor, like it seems like they would. But no, we're left with this dissonant, unresolved chord. I'm not going to say anything else. We can leave that one there. I think I've probably already spoken far too much. Really interesting song. I thought it was really, really cool. And I'm going to give it a few more listens now to really try and get a better understanding and hear parts that I would have missed. There's just so much going on in there. So a lot for me to explore. Comment down below other Forestella reactions you'd like me to do. And if you enjoy my videos, please head over to the Buy Me a Coffee link below. It's those hot chocolates that keep me going through this period and enable me to keep making videos. Thank you, as always, for watching. Would appreciate a like and subscribe. And if you want to join the community and get access to exclusive videos and perks that aren't available on YouTube, you can do so by joining the Patreon linked on the screen now. And I will see you next time.